Hey there, thank you for coming back to my channel, and if this is your first time here, welcome. Have you been seeing images of the Huda Beauty Obsession palettes everywhere? And even though you like the look of them, you either cannot get them very easily in your country, or you're still on the fence because you think they might be too deep, dark, or intense for your makeup style. Today I'm going to introduce you guys to 3 palettes from the Korean brand 𝘂𝑏𝑙𝑎𝑐, which I think are the perfect Korean alternative to these Huda Beauty Obsession palettes that you might want to check out. These 𝘂𝑏𝑙𝑎𝑐 Cosmetics palettes I think are the perfect dupes for the Nude Obsession palettes as well as the Haze Obsession palettes from Huda Beauty. So let's start by comparing the price per weight. The 𝘂𝑏𝑙𝑎𝑐 Glam Change Multi Palettes are 12-pan palettes with an official posted price of $36 for a total of 14.4 grams of product. However, on Club Clio, they are on sale very often for about $27 or $28. The composition of the 12 shades in each palette are all very different. In the Rich Rose palette, we are getting 4 mattes, 1 matte base with pearls, 3 shimmers, and 4 glitters. In the Caramel Brown palette, we get 2 mattes, 2 matte base with pearls, 4 shimmers, and 4 glitters. And lastly, in the Unicorn Pink palette, we have 5 mattes, 2 matte base with pearls, 1 shimmers, 4 glitters, not to mention that the glitters in each of these palettes are of different textures as well. On the other hand, the Huda Beauty Obsession palettes are $29 per palette with a total of 5.8 grams of product in each palette. Let's also take a look at the formulation of the different textures by the 2 brands, starting with the dark matte colors. Looking at the way the colors are swatched onto my fingers, you can see that there is no clumping or skipping of both of these matte shades. When they are swatched into the palm of my hand, the 𝘂𝑏𝑙𝑎𝑐 matte shades actually is much more pigmented, and the same amount can be used to cover a larger area compared to the Huda Beauty matte shade. The same thing can be said about the lighter matte shades when it comes to finger and palm swatch. However, when I use the same kind of brush to apply these 2 shades to my eyelids, the 𝘂𝑏𝑙𝑎𝑐 shades is actually much easier to apply and blend, whereas the Huda Beauty lighter mattes are a little bit patchy. Moving on to the shimmer shades, both brands have shimmer shades that are very metallic and pigmented. However, 𝘂𝑏𝑙𝑎𝑐 also have shimmer shades that are a little bit more transparent and holographic looking on the eyes. Furthermore, there are also multiple glitter textures as well as the matte base with pearl textures that only the 𝘂𝑏𝑙𝑎𝑐 palettes have. Let's now go to probably the most important part of this video, which is color comparison. We'll first compare the Unicorn Pink palette from 𝘂𝑏𝑙𝑎𝑐 to the Purple Haze palette and the Light Nude palette from Huda Beauty. At a glance, it should be pretty clear that the Purple Haze palette is much deeper and also slightly more reddish compared to the Unicorn Pink palette. However, the Unicorn Pink palette and the Light Nude palette are pretty similar, so let's look in more details as we swatch the colors in these 2 palettes. The matte shades in the Unicorn Pink palette are quite mauvey and slightly cool tone, whereas the matte shades of the Light Nude palette turn out to be quite orange, and even the pinkish mauve shades is a little bit warmer than the mauvey shades of the Unicorn Pink palette. While the shimmer shades in the light nude palette are pinkish and bronzy, the glitter and shimmer shades in the unicorn pink palette are mostly white base or very lightly colored base with multicolor pearls that are also slightly holographic. On the eyes, the looks that I created here using the unicorn pink palette is much more subtle than the look using the light nude palette. And with the unicorn pink palette, it is all about using the matte shades to enhance all of the glitter and shimmer shades. Let's now compare the caramel brown palette to the 𝘂𝘐𝘬𝘳 palette. Both of these palettes are brown theme palette with shades that have a slightly olive tone to them. Both the matte shades in the caramel brown palette are warm tone and orange base, whereas we have 5 different matte shades in the 𝘂𝘐𝘬𝘳 palette of different variations, 2 of which are cooler tone. As with the light nude palette, the 𝘂𝘐𝘬𝘳 palette only has 4 shimmer shades, 2 of which are olivey bronze, 1 is a brown with a pink shift of color, and 1 is an orange bronze shade. On the other hand, we have a lot to choose from, and there are a lot of variations of the shimmer and glitter shades in the caramel brown palette. Knowing all the color swatches from these two palettes, could you tell which olivey brown makeup look was done using which of these two palettes? The answer is caramel brown was used on the right side, and the left side was where I used the 𝘂𝘐𝘬𝘳 palette. As you can see, the caramel brown palette actually looks pretty cool tone with a touch of olive on the eyes, whereas the 𝘂𝘐𝘬𝘳 palette actually doesn't look that khaki on the eyes, and there's actually a little bit of red that is showing through because I use one of the matte brown shade. Lastly, let's take a look at the closest color match of this video, the Rich Rose palette from 𝘂𝑏lack versus the medium and rich nude palettes from Huda Beauty. Now, the Rich Rose palette is definitely lighter than both the medium and rich nude palettes from Huda Beauty, and it is also not quite as warm as the medium nude palette. However, I think overall the Rich Rose palette and the rich nude palette are quite similar in the theme of the color story. So let's take a closer look with all of the color swatches. While the Rich Rose palette don't quite have the intense matte shades of the Rich Nude palette, there are shimmer and glitter shades in the Rich Rose palette that look very similar to the shimmer shades of the Rich Nude palette. Now, looking at this eye makeup, could you tell which palette was used on which eye? The answer is Rich Nude was used on the left side and Rich Rose was used on the right side. Even though I did the makeup myself, I was quite surprised at how similar these two looks are. If you look at a closer distance, you will be able to tell, however, that the Rich Nude look is definitely very reddish and more intense, whereas the Rich Rose look is softer and also more of a rosy brown in the overall theme. Here is a summary of the result of my comparison, and I have to say that from the comparison I just did, the 𝘂𝑏lack palettes are definitely better value for money, and they're also going to be more flexible than the Huda Beauty Obsession palettes in terms of what skin tone can use them, as well as what kind of look we can create using the palettes. I hope you have enjoyed this video and found the information useful. Please hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel for more content on Korean beauty in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.